What if Pokemon were girl groups? I immediately know that there's going to be two camps of people. There's one camp of people who are ready to have this conversation, and the conversation can go on and on and on. And then there's another camp of people who are like,
Girl, there's nothing to talk about.
I am confident enough to know that y'all clicking this video are ready to have this conversation. Let's first unpack the girl group meta, because there really is one, and I've touched on this before. If you're somebody who doesn't understand what girl groups are, I'm going to try to attempt to tell you what that is before we start getting deeper into the conversation. There's roles, there's intentionality, there's formations and things like that. I think it's really fascinating if you take the time to understand it. So I'm gonna do my best. We really have to give credit to J-pop for a lot of the things that we see these days. Like, Japanese music and the Japanese music industry is really insular. Obviously, by the nature of it being Japanese, it's quite global. But in general, Japan really follows its own rules. Like, notoriously, the Japanese music market and the United States music market, they're both like music markets that have a huge global presence, but they do not typically abide to each other's standards. So with all that being said, the girl group does exist in different countries. But the Japanese girl group, I think, really created the meta of like the girl group formation before even K-pop took the credit for it. I mean, we've had girl groups in America, Destiny's Child and things like that. But really, I believe that the breadth, the density of girl group theory was carved out in Japan. So I'm gonna interject here, and I'm sorry for the girls who like don't like this sort of like history context part. If you want the funny haha hee hee clown stuff, you can go to the end. There's a chapter for it. Look at the Pokemon teams if you want. But for the girls who like the context, I do think that before I say that Japan gets the credit for carving out the girl group, we have to also say that like Black American music literally created the format. I just think that Japan and East Asia has taken that, embraced it as like a capital product, and has made it a lot more wide and horizontal. But like as I'm editing this, I'm like, girl, you forgot about the Supremes and everyone who came before that. And then to bring up Destiny's Child, who's like a direct lineage to the Supremes, I'm like, okay, I just had to mention that. Most things in pop culture these days are linked to Black people, so I don't know. You can't have this conversation without saying that. It just felt like, as a Blasian mixed girly, like one part of me wants to give credit to East Asia, the other part of me wants to give credit, whatever. Japan has been like 10 steps ahead, I think, in girl group theory than any other country, and you see that in just the variety of girl groups that they have. Like, Japan has such dense girl group culture that there are probably 50 girl groups that you will never hear of because they're performing in like underground circuits in Japan's music industry. Like, being a girl group is a type of band, it's a type of music, and you can do it on like a local community level. It doesn't need big production. You just call yourself an idol, you get into a girl group, and then boom, you go. And I hope by explaining all of that, you get a bigger picture of like just how much there is to dig into girl group theory, because there's a lot of it out there. And if you're into this, you totally get how this can apply to Pokemon. Like, there's so many things to pick with Pokemon in terms of the design aspects, the artistic aspects, the personalities that they present in the anime and the games of certain Pokemon. Like, you can really mix and match them in really fun ways. Groups across the world all have done their part in creating the girl group theory that I'm talking about here, but I do think that Korea gets the most credit for really hashing out positions that you will see typically in a girl group. And this is a part that I think is the most fascinating for people on the outside looking in. I have it pulled up next to me because there's a lot to talk about. You have the leader, the vocalist, the rapper, the dancer, the visual, the face of the group, the center, and the maknae. So let's talk about the leader first. The leader is in charge of basically being like the captain of the group. They work with the company, they work under certain directions, they have huge teams around them, typically in K-pop. In J-pop, you can have very independent groups that still fill these roles, but in K-pop, they're kind of like the captain of the project. They take care of the members, they make sure that everyone is being fully represented, but they're also making sure that they're herding the cats. One really interesting thing I've noticed about leaders that goes unnoticed is there's a group called ITZY, and they often put out documentaries about their projects and the lead up to a release of a project. And the leader really does do a lot of the work in presenting what the members want to do artistically sometimes in opposition or in collaboration with the team, with the full project, with the company. They really speak for the members, and that can be a really hard role to fill, but that's what the leader does. Next, the vocalist. Now, the performance roles can be split into main, lead, and sub. Main vocalist is the best singer. They normally get the choruses, they get the big melodic parts. Their voice is the part that is probably the earworm that you hear on TikTok or Reels. Then you have the lead vocalist. The lead vocalist is probably the second best singer or a really good singer themselves, but their voice and their tone, the way that their voice sounds doesn't necessarily fully fit with the project, but they have a lot of vocal skill. They normally are the person to sing the pre-chorus or the ad-libs. They're the ones who help to complement the vocals of the main vocalist. Like, think about a really fun dance song and you have the pre-chorus that's building up to the chorus. They're the one who's sort of driving the audience on the pre-chorus before the big chorus hits, and then the main vocalist just comes and explodes with their fabulous, perfectly matching vocals. Then you have the sub-vocalist. The sub-vocalist is typically better at something else, but they're a good singer. They do maybe harmonies, they have like little spots in the song that just kind of add a little bit of flavor, but they don't really carry the song. They're not able to really carry big vocal challenges, but they are good singers. They can hold a tune.
Right now, tell me what you want, tell me what you need. A to Z the 말해봐, 시작이 아니라 yeah. I love it. 들려줘, no, 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 yeah.
And you have the rapper. These are also categorized the same way. The main rapper, you know, with rap, especially in K-pop, you don't typically see a lot of rappers writing their own verses. It's more about how their voice sounds, how they're able to present it, how they're able to perform the rap, give that sort of, for lack of better words, swagger. And that's why like a lot of like K-pop and J-pop rap doesn't really blend well with Western rap, because Western rap is all about writing your own lyrics, the bars, the authenticity of it all, whereas K-pop and J-pop is more about the performance of it. How can you give the theater of it, the drama? But you do often sometimes see a main rapper contributing a lot to their lyrics, because to be a main rapper, you tend to have a better understanding of what like hip-hop and rap is, and you naturally have more of a passion towards it. A lot of these performers, while they are under like really heavy direction or like working with a group under a really specific concept, these people are naturally performers and artists who are trying to get into the industry. They're normally really young, they have their own inspirations and their own passions, and you can see that a lot in the main rappers.
I wanted to showcase Jennie's from Blackpink writing, but she gave me a copyright strike. Go off, sister. Anyway, TBH Korea has a whole underground rap scene. But when it comes to K-pop, there are a handful of performers who take a big part in the writing process. I think that's what constitutes a main rapper.
The lead rappers are kind of the same, but they don't have the bars. They don't have the same bars as the main rapper, so it's kind of the same. They will normally introduce the rap part, they will introduce the rap bridge, but they won't be the one to like really have that distinct flow. And then you have the sub rappers. These are people who can like, I would consider myself, if I was in a group, I would probably be like the sub rapper. Like I can do like a little bit of you know, but I can't, I'm not writing bars. Like I just don't have the voice for it. I don't have like the rhythm for it, but I can appreciate it. I can like get with the vibe, but I can't carry the full rap part. You know, and as we're doing this and I'm explaining the roles and the positions, please tell me what you think that you would be. Next, we have the dancers. Now the dancers are categorized the same way as the vocals and the rapping, but the difference between like dancers is the main dancer will normally get like their own solo dance part in the performance while they're promoting the song or in the music video. Like Momo from Twice often gets her own solo dance parts because she's the best dancer of the group. She's the main dancer. Lead dancers are really strong dancers, but they're not getting the solos. You know, you often see lead dancers, especially in bigger girl groups. The lead dancers or like the sub dancers, they're kind of sprinkled into different formations to help visually show a stronger, more synchronized performance. I mean, we've done this, you know, at sleepovers for our family members. Mom and dad, if we do this performance, can my cousin stay the night? can my friend stay the night? And you have to do the dance, right? Well, some of us aren't the best dancers. So when you have a weaker dancer and a stronger dancer, the stronger dancer might be in the center while the weaker dancers are on the side. The visual is on the main dancer, but the weaker ones on the side help to just sort of give the image while the visual is on the main. Or you might have a weaker dancer and two stronger dancers. The weaker dancer should be in the center but a little bit further back while the main dancers are in the front, sort of like helping to create a framework and infrastructure that is more synchronized and stronger. The visual of the group is the what people say the objectively best looking member of the group, and this is where you get a lot of arguments. And I think to a lot of people, they don't think that this is like a real talent, but there really is a lot of talent involved with being a visual. You have to know how to catch the lighting. You have to know how to comfortably sit on a soundstage, in a studio, on a live stage, knowing that the camera is going to be on you while you are like literally dancing and singing for your life, and still make it look effortless and pretty and fun, aspirational. Nobody looks naturally fantastic when they're doing like aerobic feats on stage. Then you have the face of the group. Typically the face of the group is the group member who does a lot of like interviews, does variety shows, does a lot of like sort of magazine, television, digital media promotion, helps to show the charm of the whole group. They're a representative of the whole group. Then you have the center. This changes a lot. Sometimes groups tend to have like a center all the time. I think of like IVE and Won Young. Won Young is like this sort of super famous K-pop idol currently. She has the dancing, she has the singing, she has the visual, she has the face of the group aspects, and she's often center because of it, because the whole group has sort of like molded around her as the center. But typically the center changes a lot depending on the concept. You know, you could do like a crazy circus concept, or like a really cool girl concept, or, you know, we're bugs flying around in the meadow concept. Which member of the group would be the center for that concept? And last, we have the maknae. The maknae is like the youngest of the group. That's what it means in Korean, is the youngest. But in all honesty, the maknae is just really kind of like a very Korean thing that has bled into its own sort of identity. And I often find in the modern day, people don't really get into the maknae thing, but it's the youngest member of the group, and people tend to project their own ideas on whatever the youngest does. They're all like hard-working individuals, so it normally tends to just be like the youngest member who's like being babied for some reason.
I'm not trying to be messy, I promise you, but you know that video of aespa eating the cake, and it's like going re-viral for some reason? In Korea, you can't eat until the elders eat. Ning Ning is the maknae, which means she's the youngest, and the fact that she ate first is crazy.
I like to use the maknae as kind of another joke. I'm always like, somebody has to be the visual, you know? Somebody has to be the maknae. As groups age and as they get older, a lot of things can change. And this adds to another part of the girl group meta, the girl group theory. You get subunits, you get members leaving, sometimes from scandal, sometimes they just want to move on to do something solo. I mean, you see this a lot in the West too. I mean, Destiny's Child is a huge example. They've had a rotating sort of cast in the group. Destiny's Child is the name of the group. It's the title on the bill, but the cast itself has changed a lot.
It's clear that the group is Beyonce and the girls.
Well, I don't think that the group is Beyonce and the girls.
Well, somebody can sing your luggage. Well, it's either that or you're going to probably miss your flight.
So as of recording, I have about 26 minutes. I've probably done a really good job, thank you, Editor Me, of making that a little bit more concise. But I hope you understand now that there is a big conversation to be had if you want to like create fan theories of what Pokemon would be in girl groups. And I had this validated because I posted on TikTok which starters would be the best girl group. I just put it out there. It could be anything. And people went crazy. So I'm going to take this time to talk about what people think would be really sickening girl groups in all of the starters. Chikorita is the leader, Fennekin is the visual, and Populo is the main vocal, maknae, and face of the group. Torchic was the main dancer, but left the group 1 year after debut. So let's put that visual together, right? I do think that Chikorita has leadership potential because Chikorita was one of the first real girly pops to be put into the starter canon and has really carried that torch for a really long time. Even back when it was hard to be a girly pop starter, she has been there. And we've been talking about this since Legends announced that she's one of the starters. What's really cool is it seems as though Chikorita, for whatever this group is, y'all, some people gave me group names, but this one doesn't have a group name. So everyone in the comment section, I want y'all to give me a group name, a girl group name for this this cast here. But I think that she has leadership potential. She shows the endurance. She's been there the longest. She's been with the Pokemon company the longest. I think it's very fitting for Fennekin to be the visual because Fennekin is really striking, you know? And when you look at Chikorita, Fennekin, and Popplio, these are 3 very iconic girly pops, right? Like, I don't want to say off the top of my head which one is like the 3, but like these 3 definitely are girly pop starters. They're at least in the top 5, right? And I think Fennekin being the visual is nice because Fennekin doesn't really offer vocals canonically. She doesn't really offer a lot of history like Chikorita has, but she does show that witchy, like she's the one of a kind look. And Popplio being the vocal maknae and the face of the group is fun because Popplio has come the last out of all of them. She's also canonically a vocalist, but Popplio, as the group ages and as these 3 start to evolve, she really will be the face because she has a very commercial, striking visual. I think when we think of the girly pop starters, a lot of the times Popplio is at the front of it because Primarina is just so popular. She's just the face. Like, she gets the promotion. She does the promotion well. And this is really clever. Torchic being the main dancer because that makes sense. Her with being a fighting type, being very agile, being very physical. She's the main dancer, but 1 year in, let's say maybe that second evolution, the company noticed that the visual was starting to change a bit. And they let Torchic just sort of like move on to a solo project. We don't know. They keep saying like, you know, Torchic is working on her debut album. It's just like a really hard concept to get. They keep scrapping it. Friend of the channel and fellow creator Paradise, he said Popplio for vocals, Chikorita for visuals, Scorbunny for dancer, and then Whismer for the maknae. Okay, so let's unpack this. I responded, Whismer's parent is the CEO of the company. Popplio as vocals seems to be a very common thing that I saw in these comments. Chikorita for the visuals. I can see that. I can see that. If Fennekin's not there, then Chikorita can definitely be the visual. I'm not going to unpack which one could be the leader, but I do think that Scorbunny for the dancer is really fun too. Scorbunny and Torchic have very similar aesthetics, and it reminds me a lot of Amber from FX. You know, it can be a little bit tomboyish, but that can fit. Like, you know, if it's a girl group, it doesn't necessarily have to be high femme. You can still be like kind of tomboyish, have a little bit of masculinity, and that contrast actually adds a lot of personality. But then adding Whismer, who is not a starter at all whatsoever, also a first stage evolution, being the maknae of the group, is really funny to me because there is often a joke in K-pop, I don't know if it's in J-pop, but like there's like a nepotism payola joke where like sometimes there are members who come from very high profile families who end up being in a group, and they do work hard and they do have a lot to offer to the group, but a lot of the times people are like, huh, did you audition or did you get in with connection? Another friend of the channel, Pretty Pink Pommy, says Chikorita as the cute one and normally off to the side, but is a powerhouse vocal. Fennekin is the dancer and center. Torchic holds down the verses and is the maknae, but can also dance with Chikorita. Snivy carries the raps but sings when she goes solo and then takes the center in ballads. Now, this is fun for me. Torchic, I do think, can hold down a verse. Like, just from her vibe, the way that she looks, I do think, like, especially if this group makes it far and they get to their final evolutions, I could definitely see Blaziken as like, I don't know, like rap diva. But what I really like about this is the characterization of Snivy into Superior, because that is a very regal girl. In a lot of ways, I think of like Destiny's Child. Like, I do think maybe Michelle Williams. Michelle Williams always had like the bridges, the very melodic bridges. And I feel like Snivy is kind of like that. Like, she can definitely vibe, but she's got a more regal look to her. Like, she can still do the Lose My Breath, but she also has like the Survivor bridge. I just want to interject here before we get more into this because there are a few that I really want to talk about. I was gonna like make the end of this video just me making my own groups, but there's actually so many good group ideas here that I could really riff on that I just want to say before we get deeper into it, because there are some really thought out ones here. just the whole Pokédex. You make your own girl group, okay? And put it in the comments, please. I just really want to know, because this is like so fun for me. Like, I sit up at night, like when I'm doom scrolling like Lady Gaga does after her concerts. Instead of like looking at my feed, I just look at my comments on these like very specific posts, and I just like sit in my bed giggling like a maniac. Okay, so Dio says the group name is Pop's 5. Now, I'm telling you, it's about to get deep. The fandom name is Pop. So they're calling themselves the Pop. The concept is like bubblegum kawaii, okay? So the leader and the lead singer is Piplup. That's fun. I do think like when they first debut, Piplup might be like, why is Piplup the leader? She seems like such a baby. As they age as a group, as she really sits into her own in the media, in the promotions of it all, we get Empoleon, which truly is a leader. Then we have the main vocal, Poplio. Obviously, like every group that she's ever been in, and Poplio is kind of like one of those girls that goes into different groups. She's always going to be the vocal. Like, she really is like one of the best vocalists of our generation. The main rapper, lead dancer is Snivy. Her sort of elegant way of moving and her silhouette being so elegant and snaky, I think really dictates how the Pop's 5 really move. But I think that's what makes them stand out as a group, is the fact that like you normally think that they might be doing a lot of jumps and a lot of poses because it's supposed to be like bubblegum and kawaii, but they actually make it a lot more soft and smooth with Snivy as the lead dancer. Lead dancer sub vocalist is Chikorita, and there's actually another thing that I want to talk about with Chikorita that I think is so funny, but I think this makes sense. I think Chikorita, what with her being who she is historically, she's kind of like Jihyo in the sense that she has historically been training and working in the industry for a really long time, that she has just naturally become an all-rounder, very, very strong performer. She can sit into anything. Being lead dancer, sub-vocalist really makes sense for Chikorita. The main dancer, sub-rapper, Machine, and face of the group is Fennekin. It feels like Fennekin because she is such a unique individual in the girly pop conversation, for starters, that in the girl group meta, in the girl group theory, a lot of people really appreciate her visual. So speaking of Chikorita, Damsel, another friend of the channel and fellow creator, Damsel__fly on Twitch, says that Chikorita is the main dancer for sure, and people sleep on her until the group does a fierce concept and she gets to show off her ponytail choreo. Poplio is the cute girl with a strong vocal. As we know, she's always using her handheld mic. That's another thing, is like a lot of people ask sometimes, why don't the singers use a face microphone? Like even a solo act in the West, a solo act in the East, hand microphones are a lot more dynamic. They pick up vocals a lot easier than like a headset. And sometimes they choose for vocalists to use a hand microphone because it helps to display the big vocal parts better. Torchic for sure, the Machine with a lot of potential. It seems as though like Torchic is really involved a lot in this conversation. Like, I don't see Charmander, I don't see Tepig in any of these comments. But Torchic is being brought up a lot, and it's like the girls understand that Torchic has a lot of potential, but she just can't find her group. She can't find her in, she can't find her concept. Snivy would be the leader / lead vocal of the group, who gets into a scandal because of her relationship with the boy band Bulbasaur. Fennekin is lead dancer down. I don't see that, but hey, maybe I can't see something that y'all see. And Piplup as the main rapper and is marketed as the boyish one. Boyish. You know what? As somebody who is also boyish, I am a Piplup stan. So some more girl group lingo for you. Piplup is my bias. Your bias or your ult is like your favorite member of a group. Your bias is your favorite member. I think your ult is like your favorite member of any group down whatsoever. My bias of this group is Piplup. All right, so Chan says the name of the group is Renaissance. So they kind of went a little bit off topic, but I appreciate it. So Chinchino, nicknamed Vivi, is the leader and the ace. So she's like kind of, she's a really amazing performer. Like even in the most hard concepts, even when the media is like really thinking that this concept isn't going to work, even when the audience is just like not getting it, when she hits the stage, when she gets into the center, when she has her part, that's when she brings it all together because she's the ace. Chikorita, nicknamed Chicha, is the sub vocal and the Machine. I actually like seeing Chikorita be the Machine. I feel like a lot of people want her to take the leadership role. A lot of people want to put a lot of weight on her shoulders. But let's let her be the Machine. Let's let her swing that ponytail, girl. Let's let her have fun. Jigglypuff, Ame, or Amy, is a lead singer. obviously. Like, I think some of the girls who are sort of participating and making their own groups right now, there's Jigglypuff in a lot of the groups because she's really one of the. If it's not going to be Popplio, it might be Jigglypuff. There's a few others, but those two are kind of like voices of a generation. Now, Breon, nicknamed Minnie, is the main dancer and singer. I appreciate that they're taking the time to specifically use different stages of an evolution because I do think that Breon has a lot of main dancer potential, but when she becomes Primarina, it becomes more like a vocalist visual. But Breon is kind of like, it has like that clown aesthetic. It's a very much more physical sort of performer kind of aesthetic. She can still sing, but she does do a lot of dancing. And then Floette, White Floette, named Pearlette, is the visual and all-rounder. So the all-rounder is somebody who kind of does sub everything, sometimes lead everything. I don't really know where that is because I have yet to see Renaissance perform, but I do like Pearlette being like the visual and all-rounder. Like, that's such a gorgeous group. Very, very girly pop group. I love that one, chat. Okay, I wanted to do one more, but like there's so many really good ones. Let's do a little lightning round, okay? Hooney says 6-member girl group: Chikorita, Popplio, Fennekin, Sobble, Sprigatito, and Snivy. But Snivy is currently on an extended hiatus after an alleged bullying scandal. Tintin says, I can low-key see an emo metal band with Sobble, Litten, and Grookey, with Sobble being the main singer while Litten is on the guitar and Grookey's playing drums. This is so cute. Yalin says Quaxley for lead choreo, Fennekin and Snivy for visual, Popplio lead vocals, Fuecoco sub vocals. Hey, I didn't think about Fuecoco, but that actually makes a lot of sense. Sakaita? This is a really fun one. You see that hand on Chimchar's hip? Obviously, that's a natural-born diva. He's the boy group leader with Quaxley as the maknae. Super sweet and very preppy. He's secretly the rapper, which is why everybody loves him. And to round it all off, we have Trico as the edgy one. And he's the lead dancer, of course. I hope y'all enjoyed this little conversation. I had another video idea that I wanted to do this week, but this one just felt way too fun for me, so I hope that y'all had fun too. I hope you learned a little bit about girl group theory. That's just something I made up, but anyway, let me know what y'all think. I hope to see some girl group ideas in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good one. Bye!